Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 11th Board of Education meeting. Mr. Calavano.
Roll call. Mr. Charles?
Present.
Mrs. Labb?
Present.
Ms. Mordecai?
Present.
Mr. Robertson?
Present.
Mrs. Schwartzbaum?
Present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of meeting. Please take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided for in the following manner. That a written notice was sent from the Office of the Secretary of the Board at 4 p.m. on January 5th, 2016. That said notice was sent by regular mail to the West Orange Township Clerk and the editors of the West Orange Chronicle and the Star Ledger. That said notice was posted in the lobby of the Administration Building of the Board of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Calavano. May I have a motion for consideration of the closed and public meeting minutes of June 27th, 2016?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Time for Superintendent's report. Mr. Rutsky.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a couple of announcements first. We indicated on the agenda that we would be having the strategic plan presentation and the board and district goal development in August. That date is now changed. It is July 27th. It'll be in this room at 8 p.m. We'll begin with the strategic plan presentation, and then we will follow up with the development of the board and district goals. So again, that date is July 27th, 8 o'clock in this room for both of those. As far as the strategic plan work session, wanted to just work through the process of our goals and our goal statements and our objectives to indicate that the administrators have taken the document and created the action plan that goes behind all of the goals and the goal statement and the objectives. In your document, you will see, again, that there's language indicated in red that are the recommendations of the administration to make adjustments to them, and then obviously you have the action plans with the language that goes with the goals and the goal statements. This will give you time to look over them, create your own recommendations, and have the opportunity when we come to the July 27th meeting for us to discuss this with Charlene, the New Jersey School Board representative. I just wanted to open it up now for any comments from the board on either the goal statements, or the tentative action plan items.
Thank you, Mr. Rutsky. Ms. Mordecai, do you have any comments or questions?
I just one comment. I just wanted to thank the public for participating in this process. I know it was quite lengthy, extended from January through about March, and it was great to see many members of the community come out to participate. I know we didn't get a lot of faculty and staff, but we did get quite a few parents. But it was nice of everyone to come out and collaborate with us on this. And I believe this is the second time that we're doing a strategic plan like this that involves community stakeholders, and I look forward to hearing from New Jersey School Board and giving the board's input. Thank you.
Mr. Lab, if I could, we will be inviting the strategic plan committee from the meeting 1, 2, and 3 to come to the July 27th meeting, okay, so we can recognize their work and thank them for that.
Thank you, Mr. Rutsky. Mr. Charles?
I just want to thank the public for being participants, also the teachers who participated both on the teacher level and those who on the public end of it, and the administrators. I'll reserve my comments, the actual plan, at the next meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Robertson?
I too would like to thank the public. That was actually the highest level of participation, to my knowledge, that we had for a strategic plan. It was a good opportunity to engage the public in the process. I'll reserve most of my comments for next time. I am going to take a look at how the goals themselves are expressed, because in my experience in strategic planning, we would take the public input, and that would be providing tremendous insight and be leading, but we should still do a complete SWOT analysis and make sure that our goals align with the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats and the supportive quantitative data as well as the qualitative data that came from the public. But I'll go into that at our next meeting.
Okay. Mr. Schwartzbaum?
I'd like to thank the public for participating. As Mr. Robinson said, one of the things I think we need to put into the action plans are specific objectives of quantitative so we can measure the where our ultimate goal is and on a year-to-year basis of where we can objectively measure those.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, thank you everyone for participation, and I too will reserve comment until we actually get to the nuts and bolts of this document. Mr. Rutsky?
Okay, I just also want to talk a little bit about the Transportation Department and give an update on transportation. Obviously, we have ESY in full swing now, but I will tell you that there were only a few issues with busing, and I want to explain to the board exactly how the busing works for ESY. As you know, we have a shared agreement with Sussex Co-op. And we started in April, the district started in April, Mr. D'Angelo, along with the special ed director and supervisors, they had all their information ready to go on May 1st, and it was submitted for the first time on May 1st to Sussex, with the hope that the communication would be sooner from Sussex. What we learned, and this is coming directly from Sussex, is the other districts that we work with, they submitted their information much later, which held up the process of the actual routing of the buses and the cost of the buses, which then fell back on that the communication was not early enough. I was hoping it would be communicated at least a week ahead of time. What company will be driving or would be taking the child, and the bus driver, and the time, pickup, drop-off, etc. Unfortunately, that didn't happen until the Thursday before the Monday start with ESY. So I want to be very clear. This has nothing to do with West Orange. The Transportation Department was well ready, and Sussex made it very clear to us that that's the first time they've been ready that early. It really was everybody else. So then the conversation came up about what would it cost us to bus the kids for the ESY program, not only in district but out. Now we have about 250 kids in district and about 100 out, and the cost would be double what we pay right now if we went ahead and did it ourselves. So the benefit to do it would obviously be we know the routes and we would communicate them much earlier than 4 days before the actual start date. But the cost is a major impact, and we would not be able to do it because of that. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed. And again, I know it's nice that we're not receiving emails or phone calls very often about transportation, and I think we can all kind of joke about it, but a few years ago, that used to be a daily, weekly, monthly occurrence. So really congratulate Mr. D'Angelo and the department, really doing some very fine work. Now, as far as September, we have been planning as well. We had a meeting with ESC, which are the company we work with, and we're doing a whole lot of communication prior to the start of the school year. Now, we're moving back about 3 weeks the bus runs. So all the bus drivers are coming in doing their runs very early in August, which will allow us to fix any runs that need to be fixed. Then it'll be put into the Versatrans system, and then from there we will have the communication going out to the parents. We're hoping that this is going to eliminate a lot of issues, but also give parents the opportunity, if they need to speak with transportation, they have some additional time to do that. So again, this is all done by Mr. D'Angelo and the group with ESC, really trying to be proactive. And I will say to you, the group from ESC has been here a long time working with the district, and they said to myself and Mr. Calavano that this is the first year that they are so far ahead. They feel very, very comfortable with September routes. So we're hoping that we continue with the success we've had. But I just wanted to kind of give you an update on the good work that's being done there and the proactive work on things that we knew were problems that they've already taken and addressed.
Mr. Rutsky, as far as the ESY issue goes with the having to depend on the other districts who were so late in submitting their information, is there anything that ESC would do or Sussex would do to have them expedite that so we don't get stuck again?
Yeah, it was a conversation, and we were talking to them, would they be willing to charge them more for being late? And they're trying to figure out what the solution is, because if we don't have those other districts included, our price is going to go up.
Right.
So it's a benefit to us to keep them in, but also not at the detriment of poor communication because they're getting in so late. And again, nothing to do with the district. Sussex has their time frame. They put out the routing and people bid on them, and then the communication takes place from there. So the conversation was, we'll try to do something the following year to expedite the other districts who were behind. But I know Mandy from Sussex, and she said we call and email every day, and they're just not prepared. So that's what throws everything behind.
Well, they may want to include in their contract a drop-dead date with fines after those dates graduated, and that might be the incentive to move those people along a little bit.
Yeah, and again, Sussex is in it to make money as well, and they're not really looking to lose customers, so it's a very fine line when it comes to penalizing people and then possibly them going somewhere else. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is when it comes to that kind of thing.
Okay, well, thank you both for your good work this year. It's nice not to get all those phone calls or emails.
Yes, yes. I just wanted to give a very brief update on the Gregory construction. I've attended the initial meeting with others directly involved, and they obviously, they've taken trees down and they are tearing up sidewalks and taking up the pavement and where it needs to be taken up. So they are moving forward. They projected no less than 5, no more than 6 weeks from the start of the job, which puts us somewhere in about the 3rd week of August. Guaranteed it will be ready for the start of the school year, but we've already made a contingency plan if there was an issue that it wasn't ready, what we would be doing to address that not ready portion of the job. But we are meeting with them on a weekly basis to get an update, to talk about the week's work that was accomplished or what the next steps are, things of that nature, just so we can stay up on it. But that's kind of just an overview, and they're moving along as needed. And lastly, I just wanted to provide you with an ESIP update as we've begun with some of the lighting. I'll turn it over to Mr. Calavano.
So ESIP, Energy Savings Improvement Program. If you recall, we approved Honeywell to move forward with this project last year. There's many pieces of this project, so I'm going to try to take you through the pieces and give you an update on where we are. Our number one was the lighting. We're replacing all the bulbs and all the ballast throughout the district, and also installing occupancy sensors in rooms where if there's no occupants, the light will automatically shut off. So all the materials are delivered. They're actually here on site for the entire district, and they began the lighting retrofit here in the high school. Our second one, we had vending misers, and these are devices that are installed on the vending machines and actually powers down a unit at certain times of the day, saving electricity. This will be accomplished while they're doing the lighting retro throughout the district. Our other area is destratification fans. These are fans that are being installed in the gymnasiums, and basically what they're doing is they're pulling the hot air and pushing it down to the lower part of the space. And this way we'll be able to conserve energy, and they will also be installed by concurrently with the lighting. So far with the lighting, destratification fans, and the misers, Boz Electrical was the lowest bidder for this project. And again, everything is done through Honeywell. Honeywell goes out with the bidding. I am part of the bid opening, but any costs associated with reviewing the bid documents all through Honeywell. And they have to guarantee the project. So if the project has overruns, they actually have to pick up the cost of the overruns. We have plug load management, and basically these are, they're called BERT plugs, and you plug them into the outlet, and you'll plug a copier into that outlet. And you can actually shut that copier down any time of the day remotely. So, a lot of people will forget when they leave work to shut down certain machines. We'll have the ability now to control that and shut it down by a certain time. We have mechanical systems upgrades. We have hot water replacements. So again, this was awarded to a different company, the DeSesa Engineering Company, and right now nothing has started. They're just filing submittals, which means that the cut sheets and other documents that they need to get the approval before they move forward with any construction. We have rooftop unit replacements at the high school and Roosevelt. Again, same company, and they're just preparing submittals for this work. Premium efficiency motors and VFDs, which is variable frequency drives. This has to do with pumping water throughout the building during the heating season, and now we're going to be able to control it at variable speed. So when we can lower it at certain points at a time, and we can push it up if we need to, and that'll save us energy by doing that. Again, DeSesa Engineering, just submitting submittals. We have air handling unit at the high school. It's like a rooftop unit. Same company, and they're preparing submittals. We also have some freezer controls for the walk-in refrigerator and freezer. Same thing, same company, DeSesa, and they're working on the submittals. We have some boiler burner controls for the high school. This will optimize the air to fuel ratio, again, saving energy. And this is also to DeSesa, preparing submittals. We have building management system upgrades. Again, the same contract with DeSesa, and it's one centralized unit so we can control the heat throughout the district, and we can do it from any laptop computer. So everything will be tied into one system now. Building envelope. This is the weather stripping, any kind of air leakage going into the building from the exterior. Door sweeps, roof wall joints, windows, doors. This bid was awarded to Boston Energy Retrofit, and they have completed a sample for weather stripping, and they're also preparing submittals. Our roof replacement for the high school, Roosevelt, and Mount Pleasant Elementary. This was awarded to High Grade Insulators Incorporated. We had a kickoff meeting. We also had an infrared moisture scan complete so we can see exactly where the bad spots are underneath the roof. And at this point, all the equipment that's on a roof that needs to be raised, it's raised already. And we're waiting to now remove some pieces that we don't need up on the roof, and then they'll start preparing the roof for the replacement. We also have high efficiency transformers at the high school. Contractors preparing this. This is also DeSesa Engineering. And what we're doing is we're actually replacing existing transformers with high efficiency transformers. So these transformers regulates the electric that actually is coming in from PSE&G. And our last is our combined heat and power efficiency transformers. So this generates an on-site electric that utilizes waste heat for hot water heating throughout the building. So it's a cogeneration plant. Will be primary heating source. The existing steam and hot water equipment will be supplemental if it's needed during the heating season. This is where we're also going to be able to have our backup generator here for the high school. That's where we are as of today. You'll see that there's a lot that we're just beginning. But again, I think the lighting is the most important. That's where we're going to see a lot of energy savings. So they're pushing the contractors to get through the district through the summer, so it's all completed by September. I actually have a job meeting tomorrow, so I'll be able to be in a better position for the next meeting to give you an update.
Great, thank you, Mr. Calavano.
All right, and just lastly, I have the extracurricular. I want to remind everybody that July 16th, which is Saturday, we have the art auction. And again, that benefits the scholarship fund and academic scholarships. It's at the Valley Arts Firehouse Gallery in Orange. If you need information, please reach out to my office. I'll be glad to share it with you tomorrow or Wednesday. And then also wanted to remind everybody, we have a meeting prior to that, but there's an orientation at the high school. It's freshman orientation in particular, but it's for any new student as well to come in. It's August 30th, start at 8:30 in the morning. We want to make sure that we publicize that as well as we can. And obviously the guidance department is open 7:30 in the morning. So if anybody needs to get in touch, please call the high school. There's someone there all the time. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rutsky. Before we begin, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Today, West Orange really lost an icon. Mike Fabiano passed away this morning. So just a moment of silence for Mike. Thank you. Are there any questions from the public on agenda items only? Ms. Freevold.
Hi, Sue Freevold, 10 Ridgeview Avenue. I missed the very beginning of the transportation update, so if this was already addressed, I'll look foolish and I apologize. But the issue is not just with bidding early. The issue has always been the parents being notified early. Frequently, Sussex does in fact have the bids done. The issue is that the bus companies themselves are not told by Sussex or anyone else that they have to notify the parents by a certain time, which is why they're doing their trial runs sometimes the day before, over the weekend, and calling the parents late at night. So when we mentioned putting something in the contracts about finding districts who bid late, I've actually asked several years in the past that when we sign our next contract with Sussex, that we ask them to put something in the contract that says parents will be notified a certain number of days ahead of time. And I ask that you do that. Also, Tools of the Mind for the preschool program. According to parents who have preschoolers and have been putting a lot of time into researching this is a welcome update. My question is, if we have a full-day preschool program that uses this, we have a few kids who the team agrees need a full-day program, but the only thing the district offers them is to let them stay for the morning session and then stay through to the afternoon session. Anyone with a preschooler knows that 2 half-days do not equal a full-day program. So South Orange Maplewood has updated to Tools of the Mind, and they also have a full-day option. I'd like to know if West Orange is going to do that. And the other thing is, under business, the Buzz 1441 Inc. Just wondering what enhanced communication services entails. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on agenda items only? Seeing none, Mr. Rutsky, please.
Sure. Ms. Freevold, as I was saying, I'm not sure if you're here or not. We had a conversation with Mandy, and the problem was not so much the notification. We were trying to get at least a week ahead notification before the Monday, so the Monday prior to ESY starting. And they indicated that districts were late, which threw everything behind. And the idea is that really infuriated me because our district started very early to make sure we didn't have the same issue that we were talking about last year. And this is one of the problems when you rely on a co-op, that you're at the mercy of them. And while we can have in our contract that there's penalties if they don't communicate, it still doesn't solve our problem about you and every other parent being communicated to in plenty of time. We would have money, given back to us because of that lack of communication being on time. But the bigger issue is we need them to communicate at least a week ahead of time so we can make adjustments to it. And I know that you and others were communicated to on the Thursday prior to the Monday start, and I don't think that's enough time. As far as preschool program, we don't have any immediate plans to go to a full day. And yes, I agree with you that Tools of the Mind is way overdue. It's a very fine program, but at this time we don't have any plans to go to a full day.
Thank you, Mr. Rutsky. I'm sorry, see it?
She also asked a question about Buzz 411.
Oh,
That's
Buzz.
a social media contract.
Sure. Yeah, the contract is for our enhanced communications is trying to make sure that we're communicating quickly through a lot of our social media, different sites. So it's a specific piece that we have one individual handling the social media and another individual handling, who happens to be here tonight, Cynthia Cummings, handling another form of communication.
Thank you, Mr. Rutsky. Okay, moving on to the agenda. May I have a motion for personnel items 1 through 5 as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion from the board? Seeing none. Mr. Calavano?
Mr. Charles?
Yes.
Mrs. Mordecai?
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartzbaum?
Yes.
Vice President Robertson?
Yes.
President Lab?
Yes. May I have a motion for curriculum and instruction 1 through 6, please?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion from the board? Seeing none. Mr. Calavano?
Mr. Charles?
Yes.
Mrs. Mordecai?
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartzbaum?
Yes.
Vice President Robertson?
Yes.
President Lab?
Yes. May I have a motion for finance items, special services 1 through 4, and business office 1 through 3?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion from the board? I would like to make a comment on the school nurses plan, which is special services items 1 through 4. I would like to go again on record, as I do each year, and request that the administration strongly consider the recommendation from the high school nursing staff. The ratios in this report are troubling to me. The standard in the industry is 1 to 750. Right now at the high school, we have 2 to 2,510, plus, which is inclusive of 310, where it's listed as occupational health nurse for school employees. So again, I would ask the administration to please strongly consider adding a third nurse there to alleviate the ratio, which I do find disturbing.
Very good point.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Mr. Calavano?
Mr. Charles?
Yes.
Mrs. Mordecai?
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartzbaum?
Yes.
Vice President Robertson?
Yes.
President Lab?
Yes. Okay. Any reports from the board members this evening? Anything happening this summer for anybody? Mr. Schwartzman, you're kind of quiet over there? No? Okay. Ms. Mordecai?
Nothing.
Got nothing? Great. Ronnie?
Nothing?
Just a real quick shout out. Nia Sorbino participated in a very elite, she's at West Orange High, participated in a very elite program, the National Youth Leadership Forum for Medicine. And she was recommended for the program by honors science teacher Dr. Brandt, and also received a recommendation from Mr. Favetta. And only 256 kids participated in the program from around the country. She was the only one from West Orange High. It's part of the Envision Experience, which runs a series of programs. Just want to say congratulations to Nia.
Thank you. I've got nothing. Okay. May I have a motion for the next board meeting to be held on Monday, July 27th? That's a Monday?
I believe it's Wednesday.
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 Somebody help me out.
Yeah.
Wednesday, July 27th, 8 p.m. at West Orange High School.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Petitions and hearings from the citizens. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, please come up to the microphone, identify yourself. You'll have 3 minutes, and the board will answer in its entirety at the end. Anybody? Sue, come on back.
Sue Freeval, 10 Ridgeview Avenue. I sat on the wrong side of the room. I was just wondering if I could get an update on the ESY offerings, for whether or not West Orange offers any ESY programs for children who are not self-contained. And also an update on the observations issue. I understand that some parents have gotten calls and apologies, and I'd like to know what the district's stance on that is at this point as far as observations of their own child's classroom by spec ed parents. Also, one more topic, 504 plans. We've had a lot of parents who have called a 504 committee meeting so that their child can get a 504 plan, and they've been denied sometimes on fairly ludicrous grounds. So the number one reason that's given for this is often, well, we can always just give these accommodations under an INRS, therefore they don't need a 504 plan. That is completely inappropriate because the two processes are totally separate. On top of that, there's language in our policy that talks about a child must, their disability must have a substantial impact. The language in the law just says that they must have a disability that impairs a major life function. And what the principals or the 504 coordinators in each school seem unable to do is to define what substantial impact is. So they're simply saying it doesn't have a substantial impact we're denying your 504 plan, we'll give you an INRS instead, and if you'd like to file a grievance, you can. To be fair, the grievances have been handled very well, and usually the child ends up with the 504 plan. My question is, what training have the principals gotten, and why are we still getting these answers? And an INRS is not an answer to a need for a 504. Whether or not a child is eligible has nothing to do with whether or not they have or could have an INRS plan. And I won't get into details on some of the crazy stories that have happened, but suffice to say, some children who have conditions that are even stated in the law as eligible for 504 have still been denied. So the question is there something coming down from the top? I don't think so. Ms. Butler's office seems to handle 504s pretty well when it gets up to that level, but the only way it gets up to that level is when there's a grievance. So why are the principals still saying no even when children are clearly eligible? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll close out. Mr. Rutsky.
Sure. As far as the self-contained, you and I had the conversation about me evaluating what's going on with the ESY program, and we're doing that. Obviously, we're looking into the offerings of ESY and making sure that we are doing what we need to do to meet the needs of the child for placement in ESY. As far as the policy for observations, we are working on the policy and be bringing that to the first reading in the August board meeting. As far as 504 plans, the principals and those directly involved with 504s, counselors, et cetera, are trained every year, and we bring in individuals from the State Department to make sure that we are knowledgeable and up to speed with any changes with the law to make sure we're in compliance. And like you indicated, if there is an issue and you need to have a conversation beyond the principal, by all means, Ms. Butler is very helpful in that sense of trying to resolve the issue, work through the issue, look at all the data. But the important part that decides whether or not it's impacting learning really comes down to data and looking at the data. So if somebody's asking for an accommodation through 504 and they have not needed it, there's data that we look at to determine could the child benefit, could the child not, based on whether it's impacting the learning or not. So data is what the difference is in what they're looking at.
Mr. Rutsky, you mentioned the 504 training is annually. Is it once a year, twice a year?
Once a year, formally, and then we have conversations. Ms. Butler brings people together and has conversations about different things. But formally, we do it with all the building administrators, all the guidance coordinators, to make sure that they're the ones that are really kind of overseeing the process.
Okay. So if there's an administrator who starts halfway through the year, the training then is one-on-one with Ms. Butler, or?
It is, or we send them to a specific training so they have what they need to go. There's different trainings around the state that provide what the principals would need.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board?
No, thank you.
Okay. In that case, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.